Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 272, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And we have another, I don't know about wonderful show, but it's pretty darn good. Oh wait, I just lost everybody.
Oh.
I gotta sell this. I gotta sell it. I gotta make sure every episode seems like better than the last, right?
Of course.
But anyway, we are back to celebrating the life of Norm Macdonald, who recently passed. We basically just got through SNL stuff, so there is much more to discuss about the man. We did talk about his appearances on Late Night with Conan O'Brien as well,
Letterman.
And Letterman. Which were also a big part of his legacy.
Oh, did you see his Bill Clinton presidential roast? Not specifically just Clinton, but just in general.
No, I didn't see that one.
There was
maybe
one,
I did a long time ago. I'm not sure.
There was one cutting joke that made the room uncomfortable, and one joke that got more laughs that it was so dumb that it got a laugh out of me. The cutting one was pretty fucking brutal because he just called out an open secret. But he was talking about how he named the president, the vice president, the secretary of state. But he also mentioned that there was a 3-star female general for the secretary of defense, and that was a first. And he was like, "That's amazing, and she's doing a great job. There's only one small problem. She's having a difficulty finding a way to sexually harass herself." And everyone was like, "Oh." But the joke that got a real laugh out of me because it was so stupid was President Clinton is fantastic at raising money. He's very good at it. He's had over 100 fundraising dinners and over 200 fundraising midnight snacks. It's so... I mean, I know you can't go too hard on the president, but that was so dumb it got a chuckle out of me.
I don't know. Stephen Colbert at the Republican National Convention was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
Didn't he also roast George W. Bush, Colbert?
Yeah, but he got invited to the Republican National Convention to speak because
fucking Eric Andre went there too.
Yeah, but he got invited to be the key speaker.
Did they not realize that
they didn't realize that he was
satirical?
playing a character and that he was supposed
everybody
to be
was
making
fooled
fun
in
of
the first week, but after that, really,
people don't remember this probably at this point because Stephen Colbert is one of the one of the most prominent people. He is on the Late Show. He's the successor to Letterman, but he before that was on the Colbert Report, which was a scathing satire of Fox News shows. Back in a different era of Fox News, when Bill O'Reilly was the prominent pundit on there.
Yeah, he would always act super conservative, but in a way that's
comical.
The Onion. It's he pushes it a little too far, so you realize it's a joke. He has
everything was about freedom and the flag and eagles.
Yeah, and he would have an alpha dog of the week, and it would be an asshole. But he also had a word of the day, and the very first word, I don't quite remember it, but the joke was that it wasn't a word.
Yeah,
it was truthiness. It was truthiness.
Yeah, truthiness. He was famous for that. He was also famous for biggest threats to our national security, and number one was always bears. Bears. He had Bill O'Reilly on one time, and he basically just kissed his ass in the funniest, stupidest way possible, while he was on his own show. Yeah. Oh, it was really funny because in Stephen Colbert's characters canon, he believes Bill O'Reilly to be his greatest inspiration. So
I wonder what
which is really funny.
I wonder what Bill O'Reilly thought when he's hearing Colbert say this, but it's getting chuckles from the audience.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bill O'Reilly despite what you could say about him, he's not a dummy. He takes advantage of people. But
he's a prick, but he's not a fool. Yeah.
He's not a moron. So like, he knew he was being made fun of and made it very clear. But the Republican National Committee just thought he was like, they had maybe seen like maybe half of a segment or something before they hired him and heard that he was popular. So like they just straight up hired him, not realizing that he was making fun of them.
Well, I was gonna say that's what I'm hoping, because if they actually just watched his show and picked him up, then it's like they're acknowledging that they're these cartoonish assholes.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, getting back to Norm, what I wanted to bring up was, have you ever seen his movie Dirty Work?
I did, but it was like back in high school. I remember liking it. There's one particular part, or well, there's three parts I particularly remember. One of them is probably the more iconic part, but it's not one of my favorites. The other two I got more of a kick out of. Probably, maybe the most famous part of the movie was when like a barroom brawl erupted.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Chris Farley's like, "Oh, I got the perfect track for this. Go to the jukebox, press number 7," and he like presses 8, and like the "Do You Like Pina Colada" song starts playing, and there's just like that's the fight music.
He was gonna do a Rolling Stones "Street Fighting Man," and then they changed up the jukebox.
I think he just pressed.
I watched the movie last week.
Oh, did you? Okay, I thought you
Yeah,
just pressed the wrong button.
Nope, that was it.
But yeah, like that's the wrong one. He's like, huh? But yeah, like they're just beating the shit out of each other. Do you like pina colada? Like that's kind of funny. But the parts that I got more of a kick out of were
the dead hookers.
Yeah, wow, these cars are just full of dead hookers. But no, not that part. But there was like a horrible fight that you can't see, like off camera behind a wall or something, where the guy's just narrating what's happening. Like, "Oh God, he took my chainsaw and now he's using it on me." Like, what? But I also like when the part that really I got a kick out of was when he and his friend dressed up as cops to try to get
played by Artie Lang, by the way.
Artie Lang.
Yeah.
They dressed up as cops to try to trick these douchebags into doing something illegal, and then they were going to call the cops on them. But when Norm calls 911, when they pick up, he's like, "Hello, real cops?" And like that just tickled me. Also, when they were trying to disparage this one building, I don't remember why, they put down this giant tarp over it that just it just says, "This place sucks." It's like, that's it. This place sucks.
Probably my favorite part of the movie is like there's a bunch of people waiting in line to go see a movie, and Artie Lang starts to moon them like as they're driving by, and then Norm just parks the car. So like it's no longer a drive-by mooning. Like he actually has to get out of his car and like put up his pants like in front of everybody that he just
sucks.
mooned. So yeah.
By the way, I also like, I never remember his name, but the guy who played the Happy Gilmore villain, Shooter McGavin.
Oh yeah, he's the
villain of this movie.
He's the villain of this movie as well. Yeah.
One part I like was not even really the joke, but the edit. It was like a Coen Brothers edit, where he's like appealing to some TV crowd or something. Homeless people are just like us. They're people, and they don't have homes. And then it just like cuts to the next scene just from there. And like, what?
Yeah, I rewatched it, and it's on HBO Max right now, so I was able to watch it without having to pay extra, and it is worth your time. It got savaged at the by critics at the time, but it very much exemplifies Norm Macdonald's sense of humor. Like his type of jokes are made constantly in the movie, and it definitely shows that he wrote a
remember them
of
expressing their disappointment, by the way. Like, I think Bob Saget said it in his memoriam video of Norm. Like, they went to the theater, the whole audience was laughing, they're like, yes! And they were told later that the movie didn't do very well. It's just like, well, shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. I actually really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to, because, like, I don't know, like, the last time I watched it, I was like 15 at the time or 14 at the time.
Yeah, it
So
was
like
similar
my
with
sense of
me.
humor is much different now.
Yeah.
Obviously as a 35-year-old. So it I actually probably liked it better
Yeah.
than back then because like I had an appreciation for his style of joke. And a lot of his jokes is just pointing out like fucking obvious shit
Yeah. Yeah.
and drawing it out, and he does that a bunch in the movie. Also, Don Rickles is in it, and
Oh.
goddamn, Don Rickles is the best. I just he I think is an obvious inspiration for Norm, so like having him in that movie with him was a pretty big deal. We
Rodney
only
Dangerfield,
recently
though,
lost.
Also.
What was that?
Rodney Dangerfield also.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Oh, my wife. Oh, my God.
but he did not do the "Take My Wife, Please." That was Hetty Youngman, by the way.
No, but he had a bunch of jokes, like, about his poor family life. Like, no, my wife and I are trying to have sex, and, like, nothing's really happening. So I say to her, you can't think of anybody else either? Like, stuff like that. Or like, I once went to the bar. The bartender asked me what I wanted. I said, surprise me. So he showed me a naked picture of my wife. It's like, stuff like that's great.
That's really good. There's actually several jokes like that one in Dirty Work.
Okay.
So like the guy who's Artie Lang's dad in the movie shows
Okay.
him like a locket, and he's just like shows Norm a locket, and basically being like this is I'm actually your father. I was I
Sure.
had this locket of you and your mom, but it's actually a picture of them having sex, like him and his mom having sex. He's like, wow, why would you show me this?
That's great.
and then he shows it to Artie Lang, and Artie's like, you cheated on mom, and he's like, no, she's the one who took the picture. She was there.
Oof. Oh. This keeps getting worse.
It was really funny. I thought I think that movie wasn't treated well. It's still really funny even today.
Well, like the thing was, like, it probably got treated poorly because that's stupid humor, but like that's why people like it.
Yeah. It also like a lot of movies from that era do not hold up well. And
No, that's true. Yeah.
surprisingly, this one is better than most.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, Ace Ventura. Goddamn, like that movie has not aged well. I'm not gonna go into why. It is well, other than it's the most transphobic thing you could probably watch right now. But
it's up there.
but yeah, it doesn't even really like. Back then, you would expect a lot of gay jokes, and it doesn't even have a whole lot of that. It's really
No.
just stupid humor, honestly.
Yeah.
And
It's just
I
getting
really
revenge on assholes. So that's literally the movie. It's dirty work. They set up a business where you can just get revenge on someone who slighted you, and they don't have anything personal against these people. They show up and do it.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to point that out because I was like, I'll watch it for all time's sake, and then like it, I enjoyed myself. It's worth the time. Let me see. Also, I don't know his TV show very well. Did you ever see any episodes of Norm or any clips of it?
Not really.
I think it was only around for a couple seasons, but I do know it has its fans. I just it didn't get a chance to watch it, but probably I'll let you tell this, but basically the moth joke is something that I really wanted to mention.
Yeah, the moth on Conan.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk about that last week?
I don't think so. I don't think we ever got to all the way through it. Yeah.
Because I know I mentioned this to someone, so maybe not on the podcast. But yeah, like, the beauty of it was that Norm was on Conan, and he did whatever he was supposed to do. And then it goes like, oh, well, we're going to commercial break, but we'll be back with more Norm. And Norm was like, wait, what? Because he didn't know that was going to happen. and he didn't have more material. And it's like, I can do a joke, like, how long do I have? Because he was expecting, like, joke length. Like, he was hoping, like, is the guy going to say 20 seconds?
It was a protracted, like, segment.
But he was like, is it going to be 20 seconds? Like, probably not, but, eh. And it was, like, 7 minutes.
Yeah, which is a lot in TV time, by the way.
That's terrifying when you have no material. Like, that's
Yeah,
horrifying.
Yeah, and the worst thing you can do is have dead air on a show like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So he thought of this moth joke, which has like a chuckle-worthy punchline, like, aha, it's cute.
It's also, like, old as dirt. Like, you know where it's going.
Yes. Yeah. So, but he took that joke, and you can see on his face, he's obviously ad-libbing so much of this. Almost all of it, actually, as he's telling it, but he's drawing it out to make it long.
He just keeps meandering through.
Yeah, because, like, what the joke is supposed to be is a moth enters a podiatrist's office and says, "Doctor, I'm having problems in my life." And the doctor says, "Fair enough, but this is a podiatrist's office. Shouldn't you be in a psychiatrist's office? Why'd you come here?" "'Cause the light was on." But, like,
how do
you tell that joke, like, in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
So Norm Macdonald had this whole thing where he's like, "Doc, I got a real problem. Like, my boss, Alexander Gerlukovich, or some long, like, Russian name, is giving me trouble at work, and I don't have the guts to talk."
He also
back
couldn't
to him.
keep the names straight through.
Yeah, he gets the names way off.
And Conan's like, you don't even know the name of your the character.
Yeah, the funny thing was, he's like, I like, the way I come up with material is like, I got this from, like, the car ride over here. That's how I get my jokes. Like,
from my limo driver. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, how do you get your jokes? He's like, well, the driver told me a joke. He's like, well, why don't we just have him do the joke? And he goes, that guy. Wait till you hear me do it. It was a riot. And even this, he's stalling for time. But yeah, he's like, my boss is giving me this trouble, and I think he gets pleasure out of having power over me, and it drives me crazy. And then, like, you know, my daughter died. She succumbed to the cold, as so many of us have. Like, what the fuck?
Succumbed.
Yeah, like, my son,
he always uses, like, really fucking old platitudes when he talks.
My son, I don't think I love him anymore. I look at him and I see the same cowardly eyes that I see in my own face when I look in the mirror. It's like, what? And like it takes him forever to get to the light was on, which actually makes it funnier, because, like, all that, like,
yeah, because he's killing you. He's holding back the punchline, like, intentionally, and but that's killing you.
But even then, that's part of Norm's joke style anyway. Is the punchline is just like, oh, that was it. Like, it was the journey rather than the destination.
Sure.
So, and, like, it takes him an hour to get back to, like, the actual joke, but it's one of the most famous, like, Conan guest clips. Like that and because the Carrot Top movie one.
It's his style, but, like, distilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's raw, and, like, probably his best stuff was his off-the-cuff stuff. Like, you know, like the Courtney Thorne-Smith stuff.
I can't even believe that. Yeah.
Like, that's considered, like, one of the best late-night appearances of all time. And what's
really funny about it was that, like, he was being a jerk. He was just shitting on somebody else's promotion, and it's, like, one of the most popular things there is.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's fucking funny.
It's just amazing. I think Carrot Top even, like, did a tribute to him. He's just like, thank you for all the publicity. I was going to mention that
toward the end. Yeah, like, because Carrot Top is still doing shows, and, like, I saw a clip on YouTube where it's like, I wouldn't say Norm Macdonald and I are the best of friends, but I'd like to think we're friends. And he just stopped his show for a second and showed the clip of Norm just trashing his then upcoming movie. He's like, you know what, Norm, like, it's good stuff. Like, what a good sport. And actually, I saw another clip of Norm, like, on some talk show looking thing, or some discussion on a stage or whatever, where somebody was asking him about the Carrot Top thing, and he was like, well, back at that time, computers weren't what they are now. I thought I would tell my joke and some people would laugh and then they'd forget about it in a week or two. I didn't think it would be, like, immortalized and famous. Like, at some point, I really got to make that phone call to Carrot Top. Motherfucker's ripped, too. Like, he still is, by the way. I don't know how many people know that about Carrot Top. Like,
He's a bodybuilder.
Fucking jet. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
for every second he's not telling jokes, he's got to be working out or something. He is huge.
And
Total badass.
He's like in his 50s at this point, and
he still looks good.
Yeah. I was gonna say also, Norm is really well known for his voice work too. And I suppose that it was probably in later on, as he was getting sicker, probably the thing that he could do the easiest, because he could just do a recording remotely.
Yeah. Well, this was before that, but he was Death and Family Guy.
He was the second Death. Do you know who the first Death was?
I thought he was the first and not the second.
No, the other way around.
Because, like, I thought Norm Macdonald appeared when Peter, like, should have died and Death chased him. I thought that was it. I thought that was the first. I know there were 2 deaths.
The other is Adam Carolla. So I'm pretty sure that was the first time. But anyway, I think the more prominent times were Norm Macdonald. Anyway, because he was in more than one episode as Death. So anyway,
yeah, who do you think I am? I'm Death. Yeah, his delivery is something else.
One of my favorite. I know this is bad, but like my favorite ones is he's a teenager and he takes a girl out and like they're about to make out and like she dies when he kisses her and he just keeps going. He's like, oh well.
I just remember there was a joke I didn't get when I was a kid where he takes like a chicken leg, puts it into his hood, like I guess wherever his mouth is.
Yeah.
Pulls just the perfectly clean bone back out. Like, wow, how did you do that? Well, let's just say I used to be in some films that I'm not particularly proud of. So, this is kind of another thing.
I love that his mom is like, the reason why you look like that is because you don't eat your beans.
Yeah. I don't have skin. That's because you don't eat your beans.
It's like Death has a mom. Like, that's hilarious.
Who's
to
also
me.
kind of Death. He was also, by the way, Norma was also the pigeon in that Mike Tyson's Mystery show.
Yeah, and it lasted for 3 seasons, which is pretty good for an Adult Swim show.
Longer than the couple of episodes I thought it would be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really funny in that. He might actually steal the show. He's like the reason why you go in that show, and he's really funny in that. And he was also in The Orville. So he must have had a really good working relationship with Seth MacFarlane. He's like the blob, like the resident blob on the ship. He's like, the voice of the little blobby alien guy. So yeah, a lot of people really love The Orville. I've only ever seen a single episode of it, but people say it's what current Star Trek should be.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, I heard Red Letter Media talk about it. Apparently, it like pretty much just appropriates some plots from like 60s Star Trek, but it has the attitude that they would have preferred that New Star Trek has.
Like it's funny, but the things that it holds dearly, it doesn't make fun of. If that makes sense.
It's not even like a parody. It's just Star Trek with jokes.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not making fun of the ideals of Star Trek. Let's just put it that way.
You know what? I've always wanted to be in Star Trek. I was never able to do it. I'll make my own show.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino even wants to make a Star Trek, which is
I heard about that years ago. Yeah,
like he's still talking about it though. Like it's a little odd. Like, could you even imagine what would come out of that? Like, I don't know. It'd be very talky.
I hope that he has a Klingon say revenge is a dish best served cold.
The quote from Kill Bill, you mean?
Yeah, the old Klingon proverb.
Isn't it from, like, Macbeth?
No, I don't know where it's from, actually.
It's from William Shakespeare, but...
I don't even know if it's from there. It might have been used there.
Well, it's made famous by Shakespeare.
Like, I've read it as flavor text in something or other. It's like old Spanish proverb or something. I don't know.
Yeah, let me look this up. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah, I mean, it was not from a fucking Klingon, I'll tell you that.
It's a proverb. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't even. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, and oh yeah, I think we just broached the subject. But how about that roast?
Oh, the roast about. Yeah, well, I mean, I talked about like a bunch of the stupid jokes. You gotta face like a flower,
But
a cauliflower. Aha! Like,
but we didn't go into like the background of it. So basically,
he
like,
didn't want to roast his good friend.
well, it wasn't even just that. It was like one of the showrunners like basically told him like, hey yo, you better amp it up, like use your best material. There's like more better and more bombastic than like you really got to play it up. And he was just like, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with Norm is like, we've seen this repeatedly throughout his career. You don't demand things of him. He'll listen to his friends, but you don't just try to put your foot down, because he will just do what he wants.
Yeah, he like we said before, he had a kind of a self-destructive streak to him, and that was very apparent in that. But here's the thing: if you watch that, if you watch that roast, of course, like as an audience member, you were probably disappointed, like if you weren't in on it, but because you're looking forward to Norm Macdonald, who's like a legendary comedian. He's really great, and basicthe joke was that he was being terrible on purpose, and
Yeah.
and all of the comedians, like all the people that really loved his stuff and were dying, like in the audience.
Yeah, Bob Saget was loving it.
They knew exactly what he was doing, because they know that he was a top tier. He's like one of the best comedians of all time, and even then he was, and they knew he's capable of killing the audience at any point.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just telling knock jokes,
Pretty much.
and like Gilbert Gottfried's like freaking the fuck out, like because he's just like, I know what you're doing, like he's just like, a big gigantic fuck you to the showrunner. He's just like, oh, I'll give you your show, and ironically he does. I mean, like, it's one of the most. You don't remember any of the other like parts of that roast. Like, this is the memorable part. Yep. Is him doing that, and it goes down as like one of the funniest things he's ever done, and it's very Kaufman-esque, like Andy Kaufman. It's just like basically like, oh, I'm not your funny boy. Like, I'm not here to amuse you. Like, I am here to put on a show, and I will do it any way the fuck I want. And it doesn't matter what you want. I'm doing this because I think it's funny, and then that's it. It's like reading what wasn't a Great Gatsby. He reads the fucking Great Gatsby. Like, goddamn. Could you imagine like going to see Andy Kaufman and he just reads the fucking Great Gatsby?
The joke is on you, which you appreciate well after the fact, but not during.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the fourth Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book. Like the entire book is a joke on you, which is funny conceptually. But then you're like, wow, I just wasted like 2 weeks of my time reading this fucking book. I'm a slow reader. But yeah, I just think it's amazing. Any other appearances that you wanted to bring to light?
Well, one thing I want to add to wrap it up. So do you have anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I mentioned Dirty Work, which was my major one.
So my big wrap up thing, I don't know if this was necessarily intentional, but he might have gotten one last laugh on the audience by getting everybody to repeat his last joke. Because one of the last recorded jokes we've seen him do was when he was on his cast thing or whatever it is, and he's talking about like, oh man, Hitler, I don't like that guy or whatever. He's doing that thing again.
Yeah.
And the person he's with is like, Hitler's been dead for like 50 years. And Norm was like, oh, is he? I didn't even know he was sick. And like, That's such an old fucking joke. That's a Bugs Bunny joke. You know, like, I didn't even know he was sick.
Oh,
but like
he's basically just referencing himself.
well, that's the thing. When
yeah.
Norm died, a lot of people, unironically, because nobody knew about the cancer, tons of people said word for word, "I didn't know he was sick," and it's like,
What a he must have been some kind of next level psychopath, because like like, man, to be able to joke about it while it's happening, while something terrifying is happening to you, is like, and sad, but with like a smile on your face, and only like, and knowing the full version of it when everybody else doesn't know what the fuck is going on is really next level. It really is. And he doesn't even intimate what he's talking about, right?
No.
He doesn't intimate, he doesn't like do a wink or anything, right? You know, like, he's just acting like he normally does. Yeah. So, man, what a... Like I said, he a legend, but Jesus Christ, like, it's just something up with him, you know, that was just different than most other people. He just was a weird and great comedian. It just, that's all that can be said. I'm glad to have seen many of these things while they were happening. I've seen a lot of his clips over the years, and I'm glad that I was around for a lot of it. You know, like, you know, all this stuff was around when we were around. So it's kind of funny. Also, somebody else pointed this out. I know it's kind of funny to think about it, because like, if you know Artie Lang, like, you know, his one of his best friends and partner from Dirty Work, like, it's pretty amazing that Artie Lang outlived Norm Macdonald.
And speaking of which, by the way, Artie Lang himself expressed great appreciation for Norm even picking him up to do Dirty Work, because he was out of Hollywood, or out of whatever he was doing for a time, because he had been arrested for possession of cocaine. And so, like,
he had gotten fired from Mad TV, which was a big gig at the time.
Yeah, so I think this was his, like, coming back into the spotlight from that point. So, like, Norm was also just, like, saving him.
So, Artie Lang has almost died many times. He used to be a major part of the Howard Stern show during its biggest heyday.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And he promptly got fired of it because he was addicted to heroin at the time. And he would fall asleep on air and things like that.
Damn.
He got on a fight on air with his assistant, because he's basically a nutcase. And like, just a fist fight, like
jeez,
like, punched the guy, and he was trying to get out of it the whole time. Like, he was not instigating him. Like, Artie Lang like, screwed himself up really badly. I think he was on suicide watch a few times. Like, he's been through a lot. But now he's clean and sober, thankfully. But like, it's one of those things. It's just like, wow, like, all those bullets that he dodged, and you know, like, Norm Macdonald is the one that's not around. It's just kind of funny. But he and Norm were, like, really codependent on each other for gambling. Their gambling addictions.
Yeah, I'd heard Norm was hardcore gambler.
He almost he lost his entire fortune twice.
Oh yeah, you did mention that last time. Yeah,
which is insane.
It's like at the horse track or something.
Yeah, you would have thought that like, he would, you know, in being as good of a comedian as he has been, and being, you know, working for so long, and being in a lot of successful stuff, he got fired a lot, and also was a terrible gambler. So he, you know, I can't even imagine what his home life was like. Like, how do you even explain that I'm a rich person and now we're poor? Like, because I'm an idiot. Because I'm an idiot. Like not even just, like, taking a chance on, like, a project or something. Just, like, piss it away.
And doing it again.
And then doing it twice. Yeah, you have to be some kind of special person to put up with that. I would not.
Although I should say, speaking of family life, Bob Saget said that at one point, like, you know, he was like, "Oh, hey Norm, how's the kid?" Like, and
yeah,
like,
he has a son.
Like,
yeah,
he was like it was like a few years old at the time. Like, oh great, no kidnapping so far.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you hear about him and like Bill Cosby?
Well, I mean, I remember the other big famous TV is uncomfortable with him when he's talking about him on The View. It's like a multiple minute thing where like nobody is amused.
Well, he told this story, I think, on Conan, so I think this is a different one, but he
The View was like Bill Cosby and something about Hillary Clinton or something. This is well before the presidency or anything, but like oh man, people on The View were not happy.
But yeah, one of the funny things is like he went up to Bill Cosby like in real life and said, hey, you know, he got a chance to meet him and shake his hand and all that stuff when he was famous, and you know, Bill Cosby was gigantic back then in the 90s, and this was before like a lot of the scandals were very publicly known, and he said, "Oh yeah, you were my dad's favorite comedian." Like,
I do remember that. This is great. Yeah.
and Bill Cosby like asked him. Oh, he's like, "Oh, I'm his favorite comedian. What's his name?" And he gives him his name, and he's just like, "What's his phone number? I'm gonna give him tickets." So he just gives him a fake phone number because he realizes that his dad is dead.
Yeah, like after you're so caught up in it, like, wait a minute, my dad's been dead for years.
It doesn't know what to say to Bill Cosby.
And then the best part though was that when Bill Cosby called him back later, he's like, I called the number, and like the person's saying like it's the wrong number. It's like,
there.
Yeah, like he's saying he does not live there. And Norm's like, I'm pretty sure he does.
What's funny is he's telling a real story about how he was awkward, and it still sounds like a Norm joke, even though that actually happened. It's really funny. But yeah, we should move on to fan stuff at this point. Of course. Yeah.
We got some comments, a few from Living Corpse. I'll give 3 of them. One of them was about that, you know, Democrat bill in response to the Republican bill, both deputizing civilians against each other. So he says the law was never going to be passed. It was to get the Republicans to reverse a law that deputizes people to be bounty hunters over abortions, since saying that's allowed is a slippery slope that says other similarly messed up laws are allowed. Fair enough, but what if it passed? It makes me nervous. Also, the 90s was the era of overpowered characters or overpowered power-ups. The 90s was the extreme era of sci-fi fantasy. No kidding.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this was kind of funny about the GoldenEye 64 box art. Damn, now I can't unsee the GoldenEye face tumor. I never noticed it till I heard you say something. Yep.
You will see it from now on. It's just like Joker's mustache in the 60s Batman.
Oh, especially if you're on Blu-ray, you can't even miss it.
Yeah.
And then Dracologist has a couple of comments. Yes, a kukri is a type of forward-leaning blade-heavy knife. Yeah, that Indian knife. Because this was in regard to you're talking about Kukri and KOF, which I saw the trailer for, by the way. He's certainly dark and mysterious in his creepy Sam powers, but I didn't picture him to be like, yeah, this is awesome kind of personality to go with that.
Yeah, he does have a wacky personality.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that he's a prominent character in disguise, which I think is...
that'd be fun.
Yeah, which they have done before, by the way. Iori was Miss X.
Yeah, I was going to say in Gals Fighters. Everyone Gals Fighters. And then Dracologist also says that this one got me. Popcorn is hot butter, not Kraftwerk. You know,
yeah, I didn't
realize it because I first heard of Popcorn from Kraftwerk, but yeah, that was a cover.
Oh, wow.
I blew it. I'm like 30 years late. Yeah. And then for definitive boss music, let's go with the meme, Bury the Light. That's the Devil May Cry 5. Then Fakafon says, so, who are you guys going to main for this Nickelodeon game then? Yeah, alright.
I doubt it's going to play well.
I'm going to play a different game.
Yeah, I very much doubt it's going to play well, but if it does, I'll give it a shot. And, it would be pretty fun to play with my wife because she was a big fan of that era of Nickelodeon.
Sure.
why the hell not? You know.
Yep. And Vakafan also says, "Wow, I barely knew anything about Norm Macdonald now that I think about it. I had no idea he was a huge sensation. Maybe I'm too young, or he made a bigger impact in the U.S. than Canada, which would be ironic because he's Canadian. But I don't know. Oh, that actually reminds me of one more thing. I remember I think he was hosting some award show. I think it was a Canadian award show. I don't remember what it was, but he introduced it with like, wow, it sure is great to be here in the big city of Vancouver, or, as it's known in America, New York City." That really got me.
Like making fun of like the fact that they're
how movies that take place in New York City are filmed in Vancouver because it's cheaper. And there's big buildings, no one will notice. It's great.
Especially like Death Wish 4. I remember that one. Yeah, for sure. Or Rumble in the Bronx taking place in fucking Vancouver.
Yeah, not even close, yeah. And then C. Barry says, Saga Frontier's final boss for T260G story is my favorite. That one I don't know. I have to look that one up.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then for our question, we have from our user, what was his name? vysethebold. Listener vysethebold has a question for us. Is there a comic or book you would like to see adapted that hasn't? Or is in need of a better adaptation? I got one for a better adaptation. The 2010s Berserk anime. Can we please do better?
That was my number 2
I don't mean the OVAs.
Pick.
The OVAs, the 3D CG, some people found off-putting. It took me a little bit to get used to, but I quite like it. But the show, though, oh man, that was budget cut central.
We need something that properly represents the quality of the art.
There is so much beauty throughout Berserk. I know Berserk's a fucked up manga, but it's like a beautiful manga. Like the detail is exquisite, even in the horrible scenes. But like when you see the beautiful, intentionally beautiful scenes, like Griffith's city and stuff like that, wow, it's breathtaking.
See, when I think of like manga of anime that properly represent the artistic expression of the mangaka, I always think of like One Piece. First of all, One Piece does a really, really good job of it.
You know what's kind of funny about One Piece? The first OVA was animated by Madhouse.
Oh, really?
Very different vibe to it. It's very different, but they really push the stretchiness of Luffy and like that the mouth movements look all different. It's an interesting like what could have been kind of look.
But I mean that the art style really does match it, right? And
yeah, it's like it's 1-to-1.
But there are other ones that are much more difficult. Like I much rather read the Fist of the North Star manga than watch the show.
I like the show quite a bit, but
I do like the show.
Manga has very like heavy shading and realistic depictions.
It's the proportions. It's the proportions in the manga that are so fucking unique.
Also, they don't have to worry about saving on budget and horizontally flipping Kenshiro.
The
shoulder plaid.
The characters change size constantly in the manga, and it's something completely unique. I don't think I've ever seen that. And
Zed is like a giant.
Yeah, and like there are times where like a bad guy will hold like a woman in peril in one hand. Like
again, Zed is holding Lynn like 100 feet in the air, like by her ankle. You're like, how? Like even though she's a kid, like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So like I think it's an artistic choice. I don't think it's like...
Oh, no, well, yeah, it's in the manga. Like, it's drawn that way. It's not just animated. Like, it's like that was a decision. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like that. So I really would like to, the show that really got the artistic direction right that I didn't expect was the JoJo, like the recent JoJo show. That does a really good job.
It's funny because I was going to mention that specifically. Yeah. I like what I see.
It's not as good though. It's
no. But just like I would like to have seen it if they could have captured the individual art styles of each part. Like part 1 was like a Hokuto no Ken ripoff. Part 2 looked different. Part 3 was very edgy and cornery with the faces, like square faces. Part 5, I don't remember part 4 exactly. Part 5 was like everyone was softer and had more feminine features because he was trying to cater to the female demographic at the time. Like, just every part is drawn differently. I don't know how the hell he does it, and it would have been interesting to see the manga or the anime reflect that.
I still think the anime does a really good job of it, though.
It looks freaking gorgeous,
Yeah,
but like
it does a really
the fact
good
that it's
job of it.
consistent, I'm like, okay.
It does a good job. I mean, it brings more consistency for sure, but it does mirror the style of the mangaka. So I would hope that somewhere down the line a Berserk, even a black and white Berserk anime would be amazing. You know, like
Maybe even especially a black and white.
yeah, that would be really really cool. Like I know they're doing that with Junji Ito. They're doing a like an Uzumaki, a black and white Uzumaki.
They were talking
anime.
about that for years. I'm still waiting for that to come up.
Well, they originally were going to put it on Quibi, I think, but now it's on it's going to be on Adult Swim when it releases.
Yeah.
So I will absolutely watch that when that yes, drops.
I will jump on that.
But I would like Gantz to get
I was actually thinking of
animated.
Gantz because it got an anime adaptation. And
the first season's good. The second season is not.
The anime, well, that's because the manga was still going and they had to end it.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what to do. But now that we have seen it end, there's a lot more that you could do if you want to adapt it. Although, amusingly, the actual manga ending is not something I particularly care for.
Yeah, it's very unsettling and odd.
It's not unsettling, it just fucking stops.
Well...
It just ends. Like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into
like
spoilers.
After the fight, the guy's just like, "Oh man, oh Jesus Christ!" And he like stumbles into his girlfriend's arms. Boom, it's over. Like, okay.
Yeah, but there's other stuff going on that's like, what? Like, what are they like?
Well, yeah, well, with Gantz himself, you're like,
yeah, they didn't answer a lot of questions.
Yeah,
which is I guess admirable in some ways, but also you probably just didn't have.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, I understand not answering questions if you want to leave an air of mystery, but this just feels like it was unfinished.
It does. But I think something could be done well there. I also think that the Dark Tower needs an animated show.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Because I don't think you could properly do it with live action characters the way that time works in that. I don't think it would work well because without getting into specifics, the characters go through ages and don't age at all. And one of the characters is a boy, and it would be very difficult to do 7 seasons of a TV show that was the whole show thing. The progression of time.
Even with Harry Potter, like they pumped those movies out pretty quickly, all things considered. But like Harry in movie 1, like Daniel Radcliffe looks nothing like in movie 7 because he's aging. Like your aging is more visibly obvious when you're going from 12-year-old to like 18-year-old.
So the way to do it would be to Bart Simpson it. Just have somebody who has an already developed voice a child.
Yeah.
Or just work around that somehow. You could do that, but I think it would work really well as like even an anime style show would work really well for the Dark Tower. Personally, I think it would work really well in that style. I mean, westerns are intrinsically linked to samurai tales, so it's not far flung to have western themed stuff crossover with anime. So and Dark Tower is Western and medieval themed, and also everything else themed. But yeah, I really that needs something, and I think that's the only way it would be able to do it properly. The movie is awful. Have you seen the movie?
No, but I heard it was awful, and not just from you.
I go in trying to have a good time, and it the decisions that they made were baffling. Like the whole tone of it. Like they even gave it a happy ending. Like
What?
yeah, exactly. What are you doing? They teased all kinds of stuff that happened in the books, not just like the first book. So it didn't make any sense to people who were watching it, except if you had read it. Like it's just bizarre. They had good people playing the characters. They had Idris Elba being Roland, and Matthew McConaughey is probably like my number one choice for a current actor to play Flag. Honestly, so
I could see. Oh, this is gonna make me mad. The name just flaked on me. The name just flaked on me. The guy, shit. The guy in Zombieland, the guy in Carnage.
Oh, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. I could see Woody Harrelson doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to say Willie somebody, like it's not happening.
Willie Harrison, Willie Henry Harrison.
Nelson.
Did you see Zombieland 2, by the way?
No.
I actually really enjoyed Zombieland 2.
Okay.
But anyway. Yeah, I think those are my top picks. Any others?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I read recently. Oh, this would be cool to see. I guess one other thing for JoJo, they even started adapting the Spoke Rohan Kashibe, so that's pretty awesome. But they should also do Purple Haze Feedback, that Part 5 side story. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about that.
that.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
The only thing I could tell you is that in All-Star Battle on PS3, everybody has 2 super moves, like a level 1 and a level 2. And Fugo's level 2, I didn't recognize. And it turns out it's from that. There's esoteric.
You know what I would like? I would like if they adapted all of Akira. Because the movie
is very much chopped up.
Yeah, it's basically the first 2 books and then an ending that doesn't make much sense. Whereas if you read the manga, it all makes sense and it has a very good definitive ending.
Actually, it'd be interesting. Probably also as animated. Gyo.
I don't know that one.
You lent it to me.
The
Junji Ito story with the fish with legs.
Yeah, no, I like that one a lot. I forgot about that.
I know Tomie and Uzumaki are more famous. Gyo really got under my skin. That was creepy as shit.
I love the carnival.
That was baffling.
It's the best part. I love it.
I was waiting for it to be like, and now you shall join my Legion of Horrors, or like something goes wrong. Get him! Oh fuck! But
no, they're just inviting you to their freak show.
Showing a carnival, and goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, it's just a really disturbing carnival. Yeah.
Actually, it'd be also cool. Ramina, known in Japan as Hellstar Ramina.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That Gyo is terrifying because it's fish on these middle legs scuttling with that sha sound, which is terrifying to me. But But Hellstar Ramina is one of the scariest things I can think of, like, happening in real life. Because, like, somebody's looking at a telescope, and he notices what looks to be, like, a new body in the solar system, like a new star, planet, I don't know what it is, but it's new.
A celestial being, yeah.
Yeah, and he names it after his daughter, Ramina. Hooray! But, oof, like the next day, it is clearly closer than it used to be. Like you could tell with a telescope, like a regular buy it at home telescope, and if you could tell the difference just on your own, how fast was that thing moving?
Yeah, seriously.
And they're noticing that like, oh, like Neptune's gone, and like it's getting closer. Like, oh, Jupiter's gone, and like it's just approaching Earth, and they're like, and like it finally gets near Earth. And they could see it's like, I don't know if it's planet-sized, but it's like pushing like Earth's size. But it has a fucking mouth, and it's just like ready to eat Earth. and you're like, and like there comes a point where they send astronauts to try to land on it. Like, what the fuck is happening? The atmosphere is extremely toxic. That's what spacesuits are for. But they see in the distance these like humanoid-looking figures waving at them from far away. Are those people? Are there things here? What the fuck? Like, it's so scary. Like, and it goes from there. But I find the beginning to be among the scariest things. Just imagine that. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
What's it called? Romina?
Yeah, I believe it's Remina. I think I've seen it in Barnes and Noble. I think.
Huh.
It's not one of his longer stories, so I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, it's a Junji Ito one as well?
It's Junji Ito.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% sure if it'll be in a book by itself or part of something else, but, like, what a premise.
Wow.
That's horrifying.
Hellstar Romina, yeah. I need to
Hellstars, I think, I don't know if America calls it that, but it's a better title, because that's what it fucking is.
Oh, wow. I need to read that.
What are you going to do about this, bitch?
That sounds wonderful.
There's a part where it, like, test licks Earth, which moves it because it's licking something. So, like, everyone's getting thrown off by the... They're not getting thrown off the planet, but everyone's, like, flying everywhere because of the incredible centripetal force. It's like... There is nothing you can do about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this just came out in hardcover, like, at the end of last year. So, yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, it's been around. I've seen it in the Junji Ito section of Barnes & Noble.
Isn't that amazing that, like...
It's finally happened, yeah.
He's, like, one of the most popular mangakas in America right now.
I remember seeing Gyo on the internet, like, that meme where the thing bursts through the door and he slams the door. I remember seeing that back in college, and I didn't know what it was for years. And now it's just like, here it is. Same with JoJo. You can just buy JoJo on Barnes & Noble? You fucking kidding? That's, like...
Fist of the North
like
Star.
10 years ago.
Fist of the North Star. I've been searching for this shit since the 90s.
Yeah.
I've been reading scanlations because it's all I had, and it was all.
So I have for JoJo, yeah.
Awful.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of that social media meme. You know, kids have it too easy these days.
do.
Where somebody saw like one of those Naruto headbands at like the dollar store or something. It's like, I had to make mine. I couldn't just buy a Naruto costume in a mainstream store.
Yeah, like an officially licensed one with like nice stitching and shit. Like,
Yeah.
come on, you know, like. Also, the fact that we have
Back in our
information.
day, if you want to cosplay Dragon Ball Z, you find an orange T-shirt and hope for the best.
Like, back when we were in high school,
Yeah.
the only way that you would know of an obscure movie that Quentin Tarantino did, along with Robert Rodriguez, called Four Rooms, where they each did a segment of the movie. Like, you would just need to know a friend who just knew everything about movies, and
That's
if you
the whole-
if you didn't have one of those, you were never gonna know about that.
The internet was in its infancy, and Google did not exist.
Yeah.
YouTube did not exist.
So, like, the fact that we can go on Wikipedia right now and just check all the things that, like,
Yeah, their
Junji Ito
filmographies.
has written, or a filmography, or whatever, it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. And then, because of that exposure of even just, like, people knowing something exists, now we have an opportunity for it to be re-released because it has some sort of notoriety.
Well, that's the whole... It was the same thing with JoJo. Like, JoJo's been immensely popular in Japan for decades, but once the anime became a thing, and we were like, oh, and we started watching it on Crunchyroll, and then the manga came out in America, all of a sudden it's like an entire new audience to make money off of, really. It's just like, Araki just got hit a second time. Like, that's incredible.
It's really amazing. You know, like, I could have never fathomed that it would be this easy to find an entire omnibus of Scud the Disposable Assassin. I'm just like looking at the stuff that's on my wall right now. You know, like,
yeah.
My
My brother's picked up like a bunch of comics I've never even heard of. It's just like, look at all this. I got these hardback compilations of like Sweet Tooth and stuff. Like, okay.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth is now popular because there's a TV show. Like,
huh?
Yeah.
And Why the Last Man is just kicking off.
Yeah, and I just picked up all of my my remaining trade paperbacks from my parents' place, and my wife was like, "Hey, you want to watch that Last Man show?" And I was just like, "You have no idea. I read that when I was 17." And she was just like, "Read it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a comic book. It's a Vertigo comic from like way back in the
Same thing
day."
for The Walking Dead. Did you know that's been a comic the entire time?
Yeah, I mean Robert Kirkman. Yeah, jeez. But yeah, it's
The Boys, Invincible.
I mean,
I gotta say, I actually really appreciate this because on one hand, I could see people getting superhero fatigue like I got with Marvel, but on the other hand, none of this is Marvel or DC. It's just like all these different, possibly even indie, depending what it is, comics.
yeah, I mean, Invincible's self-contained, so you could just start that from the beginning. And what's kind of cool about that is it's a pastiche of all that other stuff too. It's the same with The Boys, I guess, too. But Invincible's just like, oh, this is a character that's clearly supposed to, look like Wonder Woman or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but that's all you really need to know is just like kind of that. But I watched a couple episodes of Invincible and I'm really liking that. I feel like it's a lot different than the comic though. Because like there's a lot more set up to like the twist.
Okay.
Which like it comes out of nowhere in the comic. And you're just like, holy shit.
Okay.
But I don't know if you know anything about Invincible.
I do, but no spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it, but yeah, it's pretty nuts. And in the comic, in the show, they have a lot more build up and like fighting those aliens that have like a different like sense of time than we do, which is pretty cool. I really enjoy that. But anyway, yeah, they're. I think we pretty much hit it here, Lotus. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're going in all kinds of other directions now. Well, that is the show for this week. I am reading the correct script now. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions, especially me, and just me. You guys better get on this. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, where we probably will not be talking about another Nintendo Direct. I can't imagine. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon accounts, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Well, we will catch everybody on Tuesday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.